was that? Let me get that one. Go ahead.
Taziar Bonds Balawan Banya Sha'ala.
Taziar Banza Balawan Banya Sha'ala.
Yahabashim Sha'ala.
Yahabashim Yashar Bagatha.
Laya Sha'ala.
Laya Sha'ala. Okay, I get the scroll.
Hold on. Yeah, I'll take the other one. When you got on and then.
What's that? Go ahead.
With that, everybody, Madam, please stand. We're going to solve Anwar Kadam, which means to turn face east. We're going to read the Lord's Prayer, the Lost Shop of Kodash. Abanao.
Abanao.
Ibashman.
Shabashaman.
Kodash.
Kodash.
Ayah.
Ayah.
Shomka.
Shemka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Malakwaka.
Malakwaka.
Taba'a.
Taba'a.
Ratazaka.
Ratazaka.
Ayah.
Ayah.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Barataza.
Barataza.
Kawa.
Kawa.
Ayah.
Ayah.
Bashman.
Bashaman.
Natanala.
Nathanael.
Lakam.
Lakam.
Ka.
Ka.
Yawam.
Yawam.
Wasalagna.
Wasalakna.
Kabawatna.
Kabawatna.
Kasalakna.
Kasalakna.
Kabawatina.
Kabawathina.
Walala.
Wala'a.
Tabi'ayna.
Tabi'aynawa.
Uzawan.
Manasawan.
Abo.
Abo.
Aishayna.
Hawashaynawa.
Mayan.
Mayan.
Ra.
Right.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Laka.
Laka.
Amalakwa.
Amalakwa.
Wala.
Wa'ala.
Watapara.
Wataparath.
Walami.
Labalamia. Aman. In the English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy Yahweh,
Yahweh.
thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come.
thy will be done
Thy will be done.
in earth
In earth.
as it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day
Give us this day
our daily bread,
our daily bread.
and forgive us our debts
Forgive us our debts.
as we forgive our debtors,
As we forgive our debtors.
and lead us not
And lead us not
into temptation,
into temptation.
but deliver us
Deliver us
from evil.
from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
Thine is the kingdom.
and the power,
And the power.
and the glory,
And the glory.
forever.
Forever.
So be it.
So be it. Alright, this is the power and the Lashon Kodash. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Bahasham.
Bahasham.
Yahushai.
Yahushai.
Babakashai.
Babakashai.
Natanna.
Nathanael.
Haka.
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 La Pa'a.
Larpa'a.
Kamakala.
Kamakala.
Wakamarawa.
Wakamarawa.
Haka.
Haka.
Latahar.
Latahar.
Hamatazarayim.
Hamatazarayim.
Haka.
Haka.
Lahakwim.
Lahakwim.
Hamathim.
Hamathim.
Haka.
Haka.
Awakawa.
Awakawa.
Tamala.
Atama'ala.
Lagarashon.
Lagarashon.
Bahasham.
Bahasham.
Yahushai.
Tawada. Aman. Now the power prayer in the English. Lord,
Lord.
in the name of Yahushai,
In the name of Yahushai.
please give us the power,
Please give us the
the power to heal
power to heal
all manner of sickness
all manner of sickness,
and all manner of disease,
all manner of disease,
the power to cleanse the lepers,
the power to cleanse the leper,
the power to raise the dead,
the power to raise the dead,
the power against unclean spirits,
the power against unclean spirits,
to cast them out
to cast them out.
in the name of Yahushai.
In the name of Yahushai.
Thank you, so be it.
Thank you, so be it. Okay, this is the blessed Israel and the lost Ron Kodash. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Bahasham.
Bahasham.
Yahushai.
Yahushai.
Rakanawa.
Rakanawa.
Bahasha'ala.
Wayasha'ala.
Waha.
Waha.
Bayasapari.
Bayasapariam.
Barak.
Barak.
Bahasham.
Bahasham.
Yahushai.
Yahushai.
Tawada.
Come on. And what we just said was, Lord,
Lord.
in the name of
In
Yahushai,
the name of Yahushai.
bless us
Bless us.
and Israel
And Israel.
and the school
And the school.
in the name of Yahushai.
In the name of Yahushai.
Thank you, so be it.
Thank you, so be it. Alright, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 121, the lost Ron Kodash. Asha.
Asha.
Ayanya.
Ayanya.
Ahahariam.
Ahahariam.
Ma'ayan.
Ma'ayan.
Yaba'a.
Yaba'a.
Azariah.
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 Ma'an.
Ma'an.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Aisha.
Asha.
Shamayam.
Shamayam.
Wa'aratiza.
Wa'arataza.
Ayatan,
Ayatan,
Lamawat,
Lamawat, Regalka,
Ayanawam,
Ayanawam,
Samarka,
Shamarka,
Hana,
Hana,
La'a,
La'a,
Yanawam,
Yanawam,
Wala'a,
Wala'a,
Yishan,
Yayashan,
Shamar,
Shalamar,
Yasha'al,
Yasha'ala,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Yashamarka,
Shamarka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Zalka,
Tazalka,
Al-Yad,
Al-Yad,
Yamyamka,
Yamyanka,
Yawamam,
Yawamam,
Hashamash,
Hashamash,
Layakaka,
Layakka,
Wayarak,
Wayarak,
Walayula,
Balayala,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Yashamarka,
Yashamarka,
Makarai,
Makalarai,
Yashamar,
Yashamar,
Afnapashka,
Afnapashka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Yashamar,
Yashamar,
Tazadka,
Tazaatka,
Wawaka,
Wabawaka,
Maita,
Mayata,
Wai,
Wa'ai,
Awalam.
Awulam. Psalm 121 in the English. I will lift up my eyes into the
I
hills,
will lift up my eyes to the hills.
from whence cometh my help.
From whence cometh my help?
My help cometh from Yahweh,
My help coming from Yahweh,
which made heaven and earth.
which made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He that keepeth thee
He that keepeth thee
will not slumber.
will not slumber.
Behold,
Behold,
he that keepeth Yasha'ala
he that keepeth Yasharala
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy shade
Yahweh is thy shade
upon thy right hand.
upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
nor the moon by night.
nor the moon by night.
Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil.
Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil.
He shall preserve thy soul.
He shall preserve thy soul.
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
Yahweh shall preserve going out
and thy coming
and
in
thy coming in
from this time forth
from this time forward
and even forevermore.
and even forevermore.
And this is the Psalms chapter 83 in the last one for us. Alahayim,
Alahayim,
Adam Yalaka,
Adam Yalaka,
Alta Karash,
Athakarash,
Alta Shakwat,
Wa'ata Shakwas,
Al,
Al,
Kayahana,
Hayahana,
Al Yabyaka,
Awayabyaka,
Yahmayawan,
Yahamayawan,
Waman Shana,
Wamashana,
Yaka,
Yaka,
Nasha,
Nashau,
Wa, looks like Nashawa,
Nashawa,
Ra'ash,
Ra'ash,
Al Imaka,
Aimaka,
Yayamwa,
Yarayamwa,
Sawada,
Sawada,
Wayatai Tazawa,
Yawadai Tazawa,
Al Tazabawan,
Al Tazabawanyaka,
Hamaru,
Amarwa,
Lakaw,
Lakawa,
Ulikati Adom,
Winakaki Dom,
Magalia,
Magalia,
Wala Yazakar,
Walayazakar,
Shomya Sha'al,
Sham Yasha'al,
Awada,
Iwada,
Kaya,
Kaya,
Nawai Tazawa,
Nawai Tazawa,
Laba,
Laba,
Yakabwa,
Yakadwa,
Al Yaka,
Alyaka,
Barya,
Barya,
Yakarathwa,
Yakarathwa,
Ahawi,
Ahalia,
Adawam,
Adawam,
Wayashmael,
Wayashma'alia,
Mawab,
Mawaba,
Wagari,
Wahagaria,
Gabal,
Gabal,
Ramawan,
Waimawan,
Ramalak,
Waimalak,
Palashah,
Palashath,
Amishabi,
Amishabia,
Tazawar,
Tazawar,
Gamashawar,
Gamashawar,
Nalawa,
Nalawa,
Imam,
Imam,
Ayawa,
Hayawa,
Zarawai,
Zarawai,
Labanya Lawat,
Labanya Lawat,
Salah,
Salah,
Ashalaham,
Ashalaham,
Kamadya,
Kamadyan,
Kasiyah Sarah,
Kasiyah Sarah,
Kayabya,
Kayabyan,
Banakal,
Banakal,
Kwayashwan,
Kwayashwan,
Nashamadwa,
Nashamadwa,
Ba'ayandara,
Bayandara,
Ayawa,
Hayawa,
Dama,
Daman,
Ladama,
Ladama,
Sayatamwa,
Shayatamwa,
Dayamawa,
Nadayamawa,
Kaira,
Kairab,
Wakazaba,
Wakazabah,
Wakazabak,
Wakazabak,
Wakatazalmanai,
Wakatazalmanai,
Kalnasai Kamwa,
Kalnasaya Kamwa,
Ashar,
Ashar,
Amar,
Amarwa,
Narasha,
Nairasha,
Anawa,
Lanawa,
Ah,
Nawa,
Nawa,
Na'awa,
Alahayim,
Alahayim,
Alaya,
Alahaya,
Sayatamwa,
Shayatamwa,
Kagalgala,
Kagalgala,
Kakwash,
Kakwash,
Lapanya,
Lapanya,
Raka,
Raka,
Kaash,
Kaash,
Tabair,
Dabaira,
Yair,
Yaira,
Wakalaba,
Wakalahaba,
Malahat,
Salahat,
Ariyam,
Haryam,
Kantar Dafma,
Kantaradakma,
Wasairaka,
Basairaka,
Wasawapaka,
Wabasawapathka,
Tabahalam,
Tabahalam,
Mala'a,
Mala'a,
Panyaham,
Panyaham,
Kwalawan,
Kwalawan,
Wabakwashwa,
Wayabakwashwa,
Shamka,
Shimka, Yahweh,
Yabashwa,
Yabashwa,
Wabahawa,
Wayabahalwa,
Ayai,
Ayai,
Wakaparwa,
Wayakaparwa,
Wayabadwa,
Wayabadwa,
Wayadaiwa,
Wayadaiwa, Kaya'ata, Shamka, Yahweh, Labadka, Al-Yawad, Al-Kahal, Aratazah. This is Psalm chapter 83 in the English. Keep not thou silence,
Keep not thy silence.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
Hold not thy peace,
Hold not thy peace.
and be not still,
And be not still.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
For lo,
For lo,
thy enemies make a tumult,
thy enemies make a tumult.
and they that hate thee
And they that hate thee
have lifted up the head.
I lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty counsel
They have taken crafty counsel
against thy people,
against thy people.
and consulted
And consulted
against thy hidden ones.
against thy hidden ones.
They have said,
They have said,
Come,
Come,
and let us cut them off
let us cut them off.
from being a nation,
Being a nation.
that the name of Yasha Allah
In the name of Yahshua
may be no more in
may
remembrance.
be no more in remembrance.
But they have consulted together
They have consulted together
with one consent.
with one consent.
They are confederate against
They
thee,
are confederate against thee.
the tabernacles of Edom,
Tabernacles of Edom
and the Ishmaelites,
and the Ishmaelites
of Moab,
of Moab
and the Hagarenes,
and the Hagarenes,
Gabal,
Gabal,
and Ammon,
and Ammon,
and Amalek,
and Amalek,
the Philistines,
and Philistines,
with the inhabitants of Tyre.
the inhabitants of Tyre.
Ashur also was joined with them.
Ashur also joined with them.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
They are hoping the children of Lot.
Salah,
Salah,
do unto them
do unto them
as unto the
as
Midianites,
unto the Midianites,
as to Sisera,
as to Sisera,
as to Jabin,
as to Jabin,
at the brook of
at
Kisan,
the brook of Kisan,
which perished at Endor.
which perished at Endor.
They became as dung for the earth.
They became as dung for the earth.
Make their nobles
Making nobles
like Oreb
like Oreb
and like
and
Zeid.
like Zeid.
Yea,
Yea,
all their princes as Abba
all the princes of Baal
and as Zalmunna,
and as Amunah,
who said,
who said,
Let us take to ourselves
let us take to ourselves
the houses of God in possession.
the house of God in possession.
O Yahweh,
Oh Yahweh,
make them like a wheel,
make them like a wheel,
as the stubble before the wind,
as a stubble before the wind,
as the fire burneth the wood,
as the fire burneth the wood,
and as the flame set the mountains on fire.
and as the flame set the mountains on fire.
So persecute
So
them
persecute them
with thy
with
tempest,
thy tempest,
and make them
and
afraid
make them afraid
with thy storm.
with thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame,
Fill their faces with shame,
that they may seek thy name.
that they may seek thy name.
O Yahweh,
Oh Yahweh,
let them be confounded
let them be
and
confounded
troubled forever.
and troubled forever.
Yea,
Yea,
let them be put to shame
let them be put to shame
and perish,
and perish,
that men may know
that they may know
that thou,
that thou,
whose name alone
whose name alone
is Yahweh,
is Yahweh,
art the most high
art the most high
over all the earth.
over all the earth.
The blessings, prayer, the lost hope with us. Barakatah Yahweh.
Barakatah Yahweh.
Why Yahweh Shai?
Why Yahweh Shai?
Wama Yaka'al.
Wama Yaka'ala.
Wa Alahayim.
Wa Alahayim.
Matazab Ya'ah.
Matazab Ya'ah.
Alawap Yahana.
Alawap Yahana.
Ha Alawapim.
Ha Alawapim.
Hasaranyim.
Hasaranyim.
Hakwatazayim.
Hakwatazayanyim.
Hakal Yayolim.
Hakal Yayolim.
Waha
Waha
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba'ashem.
Ba'ashem. Yahweh Shai. The water. Amen. Blessings prayer in English. Bless you, Yahweh,
Bless you, Yahweh,
and Yahweh Shai,
and Yahweh Shai,
and Michael,
and Mike,
and the angels,
and the angels,
Commanding General Yohanan,
Commanding General,
the generals,
generals,
the captains,
captains,
the officers,
the officers,
the troopers,
the troopers,
and the sisters.
and the sisters.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahweh
in the
Shai.
name of Yahweh Shai.
Thank you, so be it.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead, blow the horn. Set that down. All right, with that, Mashabin. Shalom Yasha'Allah, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Brakatah, Yahweh Shema Adam Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. This is the Isupk. Then this started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York in 1969 under Commanding General Yohanan. We're here to teach the truth of the Bible for so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians, their real history according to the scriptures. It is our Sabbath service today, a little bit earlier than usual, but you know what I'm saying? We're going to get it rocking early. We got things to do today. And so we got to make sure to go into these scriptures to fully break down what's going on in the time of Exodus. Go ahead and get the interlinear version. I got the scripture here. You're going to be starting at, today's March 1st. You're going to be starting at Exodus chapter 9 and verse 30. Okay. Exodus chapter 9 and verse 30. And what's going on right now is that Israel has been turning up the heat. The Most High has been turning up the heat against the Egyptians as the Egyptian society begins to get plagued by the Most High and becomes a state of chaos and collapse. You know what I'm saying? From their leadership to the people that they trust closest for them to produce miracles or quote unquote miracles for their society, they're all failing the Pharaoh. And the Pharaoh is becoming more and more helpless to the power of the Most High through the voice of Moses, who the Most High sent to condemn the Pharaoh and his treatment of the Israelites and preventing them from serving the Lord. And so that's the thing we got to understand before we even begin, is that Israel was anxious to serve the Most High in a time when the leadership literally would prevent us from doing so. And here we are in a time where we got so-called freedom of speech, so-called all these different things, but it's at this point that our people don't even want to serve the Lord, even when they have the freedom to do so. You understand? Because this society has got our people trapped in a physical captivity and also in a spiritual captivity, because our people don't know who they are. They don't know their identity. And without identity, we don't have our purpose. You understand? And so we've come here into America not knowing that we're Israelites, because we just read in Psalm chapter 83, they conspired to hide our true identities from us. That's why it's so important for us to come out here and do this work, because it is the reawakening of a people in a time where this great empire is starting to collapse, and there's a people that are starting to awaken in the middle of it. Many of us don't awaken. The Most High doesn't choose all of us to awaken, but he does choose those whose responsibility is it to then show the truth to the rest of the world so that they understand what their true purpose is. And that in return also gives us an infinite ambition that we need to continue to push forward. So we're going to go ahead and go to Exodus chapter 9 and verse 30. And we're going to start in the Hebrew copy. Y'all keep up with him so you can help him out. I'll make sure to share the class. So y'all go ahead and get started on that. And then we'll just read 7 verses, and then we'll break it down into English.
Okay. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 9, verse 30. One thought. Your eye, the Koyat, Yada, I, the Ya, Kaya, Taram, Ta Ya, Rawan, Mapanya, Yakawa, Alaham. Verse 31. Wakha Pasha Ptha Wakha Ya I Raka Nakwak Naka Taka Kaya Hasha Abraka Abayam Wakha Pashatam Gaba Aila. Verse 32. Wakha Takia Takha Wax Wakha Kaza Mata La'a La'a Nakwan Kaya Aparaya Lata Kana. Verse 33. Boyatza Mashaka Ma'aim Paraya Ata Ha'ai Ira Waya Parasha Kapawan Allah Al Yahweh Wayakia Dalawa Hakwa Lawat Waha Barat Wa Mata La'a Nathak Arataza. Verse 34. Waimar, Paraya, Kaya, Khada, Hama, Torah, Wakha, Barat, Wakha, Kwalat, Yawasa, Lakia, Lakiha, Waya, Kabad, Labawan, Kawan, Wa'ai, Badawan. Verse 35. Wayakia, Zakah, Laba, Paraya, Wa'ala, Shalak, Shalak, Atta, Banya, Yashra'ala, Kashra, Dabar, Yahawa, Bayad, Maasha, Pa. Verse chapter 10, verse 1. Wayamar, Yahawa, Al, Mashaya, Baya. That's like Ba, Al, Paraya, Kaya, Anak, Anaya, Haka, Badatayo, Ata, Labawa, Wata, Lawaba, Aiba, Dayan, Lama, Yan, Shatayo, Ata, Daya, Allah, Bakwa, Rabba 1, verse 2. Yama, Yan, Tizbara, Ba'aza, Nay, Ba'aza, Nayan, Banka, Waban, Baka, Ata, Ashar, Kha, Ta, Ai, Wallah, Taya, Pamatsarm, Mata, Atataya, Ashar, Shamtai, Ban, Waya, Da Ai, Tum, Kaya, Anaya, Yahawa. Verse 3. Waya, Wayaba, Mashaya, Akaran, Al, Paraya, Waymar, Alayan, Kakha, Amar, Yakawa, Alakaim, Ai, Barayum, Aida, Mataya, Mata, La Ai, Mata, Mapanaya, Shalak, Imaya, Waya, I, the, Ba, Naya. Verse 4. Kaya, I'm my son. No. Man. Ataka. Nasha laka. Ata. Amaya. Ha. Nanaya. Ma. Baya. Makir. Arabang. Arabak. Baga. Balakha. Verse 5. Wakaza. Ata. Ayun. No. Ayun. Haratza. Wala. Yawakal. Lorata. Ata. Haratza. Wakal. Ata. Yatra. Pa. Latha. Khan. Nasha. Arat. Lakam. Man. Man. Habrat. Mukal. Ata. Kam. Harat. Chaitza. Chatza. Mak. Lakam. Mawan. Hasha. Dakha. Verse 6. Wamalwan. Bata. Yaka. Wa. Bataya. Ka. Ka. I. Barak. Yaka. Wabataya. Ka. Matazraim. Ashar. La'a. Rawan. Abba. Dayaki. Wa. What? Abba. Takayak. Mayawan. Khayawa. Tam. Ayla. Hadamak. Aida. Hayawan. Khazaha. Wayapurma. Wayatza. Mayam. Parayam. Verse 7. Wemarwan. Abadiah. Paraya. Alaywan. Ida. Matay. Yakha. Yakha. Za'a. Lanawa. Lamawa. Kwasha. Shalak. Ata. Ana. Shayam. Waja'ay. Parawan. Ata. Yahweh. Alakayim. Khata. Ram.
Go ahead and read through verse 10.
Okay. Tada ay. Kaya. Abadaka Matazara. Verse 8. Wayawan Shba Ata Masha Wata Aran Al Baraya Wayamar Alakhan Aquan Iba Dawan Alita Yahweh Alakha Yakum Maya Wamaya Kha La Kayum.
Actually, go ahead and stop right there. That's 14 verses. Let's get that into English. You started at Exodus chapter 9 and verse 30. Let's get that.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 9 and verse 30. But as for thee and thy servants, I know that ye will not yet fear the Lord God. Verse 31. And the flax and the barley were smitten, for the barley was in the ear, and the flax was bold.
What's that talking about?
I don't know what that means.
So, all right. So it says flax. Flax is like the wick of a lamp, and barley. Barley is like meal for grain and things like that. So as the flax and the barley was smitten, for the barley was in the ear and the flax was bold. For something to be bold, it means to sprout out. So these things that people use to, how do I say, that they use for sustenance, and especially flax, because what is flax used for is candles to see. You understand? So that's why when the Most High shows, like when he's putting these plagues on this place, that darkness is something that's deafening, especially at night. You understand? Where they don't even have any kind of comfort of even seeing what's in front of them. So the night terrors and things like that are things that start to settle in on the Egyptians. It says, as for thee and thy servants, I know that you will not fear the Lord God. And who's he talking to right there? He's talking to the Pharaoh, right? So he's telling the Pharaoh, I already know, you've already shown who you are at this point, that you're not going to let us do what we need to do. And so there's just more punishment coming to you. Keep going.
Okay, verse 32. But the wheat and the rye were not smitten, for they were not grown up.
Okay, go ahead.
Verse 33. And Moses went out of the city from Pharaoh and spread abroad his hands unto the Lord. And the thunders and the hail ceased, and the rain was not poured upon the earth.
Okay, so this again, Moses went out and called for the Lord to put an end to the hail. All right, go ahead.
Okay, verse 34. And when Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thunders would cease, he sent yet more and hardened his heart, he and his servants.
So the Pharaoh is basically past the point of no return. He understands that he's already seen so many things happen to his empire since he started defying the Lord. And yet through that, he still is stubborn in the sense that he's not going to allow the children of Israel to go and serve the Most High. And this is, again, goes back with what I'm saying, how the leadership at the time was so reluctant to let us do what we're supposed to do. And then nowadays, they don't have to do that anymore because we already don't want to as a people. And that's the problem with our nation, is that Christianity has caused us to become selfish. It has caused us to lean onto our oppressors more than ever, to trust them more than we trust the Most High. And the problem is that deep down, we know that none of that's going to work for us in the end. And so the only thing that we have left to turn to is the Lord, because that's the only thing, that's the only way out of this situation. So we have to lean on him more. The Most High is showing his way on the earth when they try to prevent us from doing that. And there may very well come a time where they're going to try to prevent us from doing what we're supposed to do to serve the Lord because of the oppression being turned up. We know that the political climate right now is a perfect fertilization of that happening, with everything going on the borders, everything going on with the slander against the Hispanic people. You know, the the race. I wouldn't even say racism at this point. It's just ultra nationalism for the United States that is pushed its agenda so far that our people are always going to be looked at as the problem no matter what. So if that's just going to be the case, why would we not turn to the Most High? Why would we avoid doing the things that we're supposed to do? But this is what they did back then. Now, keep reading.
Okay, verse 35. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, neither would he let the children of Israel go, as the Lord has spoken by Moses.
All right, let's go to the next chapter because now we're gonna get to even more plagues. Go ahead.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 10, verse 1. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go in unto Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart, and the heart of his servants, that I may show these my signs before him. Verse 2. And that thou mayest tell in the ears of thy son and of thy son's son what things I have wrought in Egypt, and my signs which I have done among them, that you may know how that I am the Lord.
Keep going.
Okay, verse 3. And Moses and Aaron came into Pharaoh and said unto him, Thus said the Lord God of the Hebrews, How long wilt thou refuse to humble thyself before me? Let my people go, that they may serve me. Verse 4. Else, if thou refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow will I bring the locust into thy coast.
Now, I don't know if you've ever seen locusts before, but they are not small. These things have a weight. If they fly into you, you'll feel it.
Yeah.
Like, cicadas. Cicadas are pretty large for a bug, but this is a plague that destroys crops. They fly in packs because they fly to places where there's resources for them to steal, to take, to consume, so they can continue growing their swarm. You understand? The Most High is going to send a swarm of locusts on them. Now, right here, what's going on is that they're telling them, how long is it going to be that you refuse to humble yourself? Because the oppressor is a very prideful oppressor, somebody that always has to look down upon everybody else. If they don't fit their agenda, they look down upon, they're criticized and slandered. And that's the standard that they uphold to this day. I mean, every civilization we've been in captivity under, that's what they've done. They've done exactly that. Now, this is what's going to happen with the locusts. Give me verse 5.
Okay. Verse 5. And they shall cover the face of the earth, that one cannot be able to see the earth. And they shall eat the residue of that which is escaped, which remaineth unto you from the hail, and shall eat every tree which groweth for you out of the field.
Now, one way that you can really humble a leader is to destroy their financial situation, their economy, and their livelihood. And the plagues up until this point have already been destroying their crops, their cattle. You understand? Plaguing their entire ecosystem is thrown out of whack now. Now the Most High is sending the locusts to clean up what's left. There's not going to be anything left. This is also a part of the reason why the Pharaoh is past the point of no return, because he feels like he has less to lose now than ever before. He might as well harden his heart to see this thing through. And it's, of course, to his demise. But the thing is that their entire civilization is falling by these things that the Most High is doing to them. And it adds up and it builds up over time, and it gets to the point where it's blatantly obvious that they don't have control anymore. Go ahead.
Okay, verse 6. And they shall fill thy houses, and the house of all thy servants, and the houses of all the Egyptians, which neither thy fathers nor thy fathers' fathers have seen, since the day that they were upon the earth unto this day. And he turned himself and went out from Pharaoh. Verse 7. And Pharaoh's servant said unto him, How long shall this man be a snare unto us? Let the man go, that they may serve the Lord their God. Knowest thou not yet that Egypt is destroyed?
Read that part again.
Verse 7. And Pharaoh's servants said unto him, how long shall this man be a snare unto us? Let the men go, that they may serve the Lord their God. Knowest thou not yet that Egypt is destroyed?
And this is the theme that carries over to this day, that the oppression of our people is more important than the livelihood of their civilization. When they become so blinded to wanting to zero in on, and this is a spiritual thing, this is how they're created to be. So we're not surprised by this. Just no different than how Moses wasn't surprised by the Pharaoh hardening his heart, because we know that their role is to be like that. Our role is what we have to do in response to that. You understand? So the responsibility is on us ultimately, because we already know how they're going to be. They're going to push it past the point of no return, where they're going to do whatever it takes to try to destroy us, to try to minimize us, to try to reduce our numbers, to keep us from growing. And that's what they did in Egypt. But it's going to be to their own demise, because while they're so focused on that, everything around them is collapsing through famine, through thunderstorms, through natural disasters, fires. And none of this is new. Are we reading anything that isn't happening right now? Are we seeing anything happening right now that we haven't read about in these scriptures? We have to consider the fact that the Most High is doing this right now the same way he's doing things back then. And there's going to be more plagues and more famine and more wars and more pestilence, because that's just how this thing goes until we understand that we're not supposed to be comfortable here. Give me verse 8.
Okay. Verse 8. And Moses and Aaron were brought again unto Pharaoh, and he said unto them, go, serve the Lord your God. But who are they that shall go?
So he's asking, who's all going with you? Now we're going to go back to the Hebrew and read some more Hebrew. You're in verse, 9 now.
Okay.
So Exodus chapter 10 and verse 9, for those of you that are just tuning in, make sure to use the Bible Hub app to follow along, and then we'll break them down as we go. Go ahead.
Okay. This is the book of Exodus chapter 10 verse 9. Wayamar Mashaya. No. Mashaka. Panai Raya Nawan Mubaza Panaya Nawan Nalak Baba Naya Nawan Wa Baba Nawan the Nawan Batza Nawan Baba Quara Nawan Naklak Kaya Haga Yahweh Lana 1 verse 10 Wayamar Alaham Yahaya Kawan Yahweh I Makam Kashar Jalak Atkam Wa'ata Tapakam 1 Kaya Reha Nagad Panaya Kam verse 11 La'a Khan Lakawan Na'a Haga Barayam wa I barawan ata Yahweh kaya ataka atam bamak shayam wayaga rasha atam mata panya paraya pan. Verse 12, Wayamar, Nehawa, Al, Masha, Na, Na, Nata, Ya, the Ka, Allah, Ratiza, Ma'atazraim, Ba, Rabaka, Waya, Ayla, Ratiza, Matazraim, Ya, Ka, Alta, Ka, Ashba, Ratiza, Ata, Ka, Ashar, Sha, Hasha, Yara, Hashayara, Haba, Rada. Verse 13. Waya, Masha, Ata, Matsa, Matayawan. No. Matwan. Allah, Rataza, Matazarayim, Yahweh, Nahgad, Rawaka, Kwa, Dayam, Karataza, Ka, Hayawan, Hawan, Waka, Kala, Ya, Lacha, Ha, Bara, Habarar, Kayha, Warawak, Hakwa, Dayam, Nasha, Ata, Harba. Verse 14. Waya Al, Harba, Allah, Ka, Aratiza, Matazrayim, Na Nak, Baka,
Kabawal.
Gabawa, Matazrayim, Kabad, Ma'at, Lapan Nayon, Lapan one, Lapanayawan, La'a, Kaika, Kan, Abara, Kama, Kaman, Wa, Kia, Rayang, La'a, Yaha, Kan. Verse 15. Waya, Kaza, Ata, Ayawan, Ka,
It's just Ayan.
Ayan, Ka, Ha'aratza, Wata, Kia, Shak,
Mhm.
Patakashat, Ha'aratza, Waya, Ka, Ata, Ka, Aisha, Haratza, Wata, Ka, Paraya, Haratza, Ashar, Hawa, the Yara, Ka, Barat, Wala. Now with the, Ka, Yerqua, Ba'atza, Wa, Ba'ashab, Khasha, Dakha, Bakha, Bakha, Arataza, Matazaraim.
All right, let's get that into English.
9, right?
Yeah.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 10, verse 9. And Moses said, we will go with our young and with our old, with our sons and with our daughters, with our flocks and with our herds. We will go. For we must hold a feast. For we must hold a feast unto the Lord. Verse 10. And he said unto them, let the Lord be so with you. So I will let you go and your little ones. Look to it, for evil is before you.
Keep going.
Verse 11. Not so. Go now, ye that are men, and serve the Lord, for that ye did desire. And they were driven out of the Pharaoh's presence.
It says they were driven out of the Pharaoh's presence. This wasn't a cordial meeting, this particular one, because you see the Pharaoh's kind of sneak dissing them by saying things like, for evil is before you. Like everywhere you go is just destruction in your wake. Go ahead and go. Take your little ones, take your all with you, because y'all got to hold this feast before the Lord. Just go. And so he's telling them to get out of here. He says driving out from the Pharaoh's presence is almost like to say, show him the door. You know what I'm saying? Drive them get them out of my sight, is what he's saying. Go ahead.
Okay, verse 12. And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thy hand over the land of Egypt for the locust, that they may come up upon the land of Egypt, and eat every herb of the land, even all that hell hath left. Verse 13. And Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt, and the Lord brought an east wind upon the land all that day and all night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locust. Verse 14. And the locust went up over all the land of Egypt and rested in all the coast of Egypt. Very grievous were they. Before them there were no such locusts as they, neither after them shall be such.
So these ain't no regular locusts. These locusts are designed and created for the purpose of a grievance consumption of all of the resources in the land. It's like a direct attack. It's almost like these locusts know exactly how to piss off the Pharaoh. You know what I mean? And destroy whatever is left. It's like a targeted attack on very specific resources that the Egyptians have been trying to cling on to because everything else has been destroyed. That's why the Pharaoh's servants were like, don't you realize that all of Egypt is destroyed from all of this? And he's sitting there huddled in his throne room, like trying to pretend like it's not happening. He's in denial that it's happening. And you can best be reassured, any captivity that the real Israelites are in, where they're being mistreated, when we come back to serve the Most High is going to bring destruction on that place where they're at. And that happened in every captivity we were in. We pray and hope that since this is the last one, that we get it right this time. You know what I'm saying? Well, we will get it right this time, because we look at this history and we understand where we've come from and how we've gotten to this point here, and what we have to do to not repeat the same mistakes ever again. Go ahead.
Okay, verse 15. For they covered the face of the whole earth, so that the land was darkened. And they did eat every herb of the land, and all the fruit of the trees which the hail had left. And there remained not any green thing in the trees, or in the herbs of the field, through all the land of Egypt.
Let's go back to the Hebrew and we'll continue. There's some more left. Let's see. All right. Yeah, keep going.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 10, verse 16. Waya makra paraya lakura lamasha wa la haran wa yamar kya ta the ya Yahweh Yahweh Alakayim Walakam. Verse 17. Wa I thaka sha na na ha ta kia. No, it's like kia ta the ya I ha pa I am wakha I the ya Rowan Yahweh Alakayam Waya saw ma I la ya ra ata ha ma wata ha zaha. Verse 18. Wa aitza ma'ayim baraya wa ya I Torah al yakawa. Verse 19. Wa ya ha pak ya ha waha Yahweh Rawak Yam Hazakwa Ma'ida wa ya sha ata Habarak wa ya the wa I Hawan ya Maka Sawab Lawa La'a Nashar Abaka Akyat Baka Ga Gabawa Matazram. Verse 20. Ayakia Zak Yakaw Ata Lab Parvaya Walla Shalak Ata Bania Yashra'ala Pa. Verse 21. Wahayamar Yahweh Al Masha Natha Ya the Kwa no Ya the Ka Allah Asha Mayam Wayahya Shashak Allah Aratsa Matazram Wayamsha Kishak. Verse 22. Waya Masha Atha Yarawan Allah Al Masha Mayam Wayahya Hashak Apla Baka Aratza Matazram Sha la shata ya mayum. Verse 23. La'a rawan. Aisha ata akia iwam. Wala kwamawan. Asha matakia ta yawam. Salata ya mayam. Bwa lak'a banya yash'ala khayha awra bama washa satam. Verse 24. Waya Korah Paraya Al Masha Wayamar Nakwa I Badawan Ata Yahweh Ra Tza Kum Tzana Kum Wa Bara Kum Yatza Gam Tza Pa Kum Yalat I Ma Kum. Verse 25. Wayamar Masha Gum Ataka the one, Baya the one, Sabakya Yum, Wa I la what, Wa I sha ya Zawan Yahweh Allah Alakayim Allah no Allah Chayo Noah. Verse 16. Wagum Makwa Nanawa Yalak I Manawan La'a Tshar Parazat Kaya Ma Nawan Nakwak La'ibada Atha Yahweh Alaim Wa Nakia Nawan La'a Nara'aya Ma'a Ma Na'ai Bada Ata Yahweh Ada Ida Banawan Sha Maka. Verse 27. Wayakia Zaka Yahweh Ata Laba Paraya Wala Abaka Abba Abba Lasha Lakim. 28. Wayamar Lawab Paraya Laka Ma'ai Laya Hashma Laka A Tza Rawat Panaya Kaya Bayawan Ratak Panaya the Ma Watha. Watha. Verse 29. Wayamor, Masha. Masha. Khan. Kawan. The Barath La'a Azza Ayat
We're
Wat.
gonna read to the end of the chapter.
Okay. Pan Na Yuka Pa. Verse to the end of the chapter.
Khan.
That was it. Now I'm on 11 and 1.
All right, let's go ahead and read that.
It's like before we start. We're
What was it? It was like 14. Just start at verse 14.
oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, you're right. In the book of Exodus, chapter 10, verse 14. And the locusts went up over all the land of Egypt and rested in all the coast of Egypt. Very grievous were they. Before them there were no such locusts as they, neither after them shall be such. Verse 15. For they covered the face of the whole earth, so that the land was darkened, and they did eat every herb of the land and all the fruit of the trees which the hell had left, and there remained not any green thing on
just turn the whole landscape into a waste. Like you ever seen a World War One movie? World War II movies are pretty drastic, but World War One movies where you really saw just constant bombardment, devastation on the land itself, where the point where the land is just unrecognizable anymore, and you have the no man's land where it's just a really dark gray palette of mud and dirt and razor wire and all that kind of stuff. Imagine trees with nothing on it, no leaf, no green, no plants, no grass. I'm talking about grass is gone.
Oh.
Nothing is left. Just to really hit hard on the point of you have nothing now, Pharaoh. You have absolutely nothing because of what you've done that disrespected the God of Israel. Go ahead.
Okay. Or in the herbs of the field through all the land of Egypt. Verse 16. Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron in haste, and he said, I have sinned against the Lord your God and against you. Verse 17. Now therefore forgive, I pray thee. My sin is only this once, and entreat the Lord your God that he may take away from me this death only. Damn.
Yeah. I entreat the Lord that he may take away from me this death only. Go ahead.
Okay, verse 18. And he went out from Pharaoh and entreated the Lord. Verse 19. And the Lord turned a mighty strong west wind, which took away the locusts and cast them into the Red Sea. There remained not one locust in all the coast of Egypt. Verse 20. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he would not let the children of Israel go.
Again, even after all these different miracles happened, from the frogs to the flies to the ice hail that caught on fire to the locusts being swarmed in, and then just even the fact that wind came and blew them all the way into the Red Sea is just, can you imagine seeing that? And then of course all the people are just terrified, and then the Pharaoh still hardens his heart because again he's the one in control. And this is what happens when you have a terrible leader, is that the people suffer, right? Just like the scripture we always quote, when the righteous bear rule, the people rejoice. When the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. All of Egypt is in mourning right now because of the hardened heart of the people that are in charge. Go ahead.
Okay. Verse 21. And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thy hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt.
Keep going.
Okay, verse 22. And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days.
And so even when the sun was supposedly out, you're not seeing anything because of how dark it became. Could be because of thick clouds in the sky or what have you, or just a straight up way the Most High has been working these miracles to just turn the lights off on that whole part of the globe. You know what I'm saying? There's been days where it looks like it's nighttime outside, even during the middle of the day. So we know that from a small extent, but this is what the Most High is doing just to bring that dread, that feeling of helplessness and dread to the entire land. Keep going.
Okay. Verse 23, they saw not one another, neither arose any from his place for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
But all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings.
Keep going.
Okay, verse 24.
You see what I'm saying about how what happened with the flax? We were reading those definitions. What was one of them? It was the candle material, the wax. Israel had light in their dwellings. What does that mean? That means they had what they need to have the lights on. You know, when the electricity goes out and you make a candle or have some kind of source of light to move around the house, that little source of light will make your whole day in a situation like that. You understand? So we had comfort in that time. We had that little light in the darkness while they had nothing. Go ahead.
Okay, verse 24. And Pharaoh called unto Moses and said, Go ye, serve the Lord. Only let your flock and your herds be stayed.
Mm-hmm.
Let your little ones also go with you.
He said, only let your flocks and your herds be stayed. He said, no, because they ain't got no resources left. So leave y'all's resources so y'all can go. And what do you think they're going to do? They're going to just sit there and let those flocks just be at peace? No, they're going to want to take it for themselves. So Moses has to let them know. He's like, listen, man, this is not how it's going to be. Go ahead.
Okay, 25. And Moses said, Thou must give us also sacrifices and burnt offerings, that we may sacrifice unto the Lord our God. Verse 26. Our cattle also shall go with us. There shall not an hoof be left behind.
He said, there shall not one hoof, like one leg of one. That's how you know this man is black, bro. And white people don't talk like that. Ain't gonna be one hoof left over here. Well, we gotta take everything we got. You know what I mean? Not one goat leg, nothing. Not one little hoof. I always thought they had weird feet. But that's just how they are, bro. They could walk all over all kinds of weird terrain, but that's how the Lord made them, Most High Christ. Not one hoof. Go ahead.
Okay. For thereof must we take to serve the Lord our God, and we know not with what we must serve the Lord until we come thither.
See, and that's the thing too, is like when you even upon your dismissal, they still need to take every last bit that they can. That's why when they finally relinquish you that paycheck that you worked all them hours for and they didn't even pay you until 2 weeks later, they still got to take something off the top, and it's more than 10%. The scripture says la ishara. They want like double of that. You know what I mean? Through federal income and this and that and what have you. And it's not a fair exchange. They need to take more as you go with what you got. You see how I'm able to put that together? I could see today in the history back then. And the way that this place is designed with the intention of so many slaveries from before, because it's always about them getting the most out of putting the least effort. You understand? Now they got nothing because of all of their selfishness and all of their pride and all of their ill dealings with the children of Israel, that this is just the natural course of things. This is justice that the Most High is bringing upon them. Read on.
Okay. Verse 27. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let him go.
Go ahead.
Verse 28. And Pharaoh said unto him, Get thee from me, take heed to thyself, see my face no more. For in that day thou seest my face, thou shalt die.
Damn. He's like, if I see you again, I'm gonna kill you. And that's what the Pharaoh was on. That's the type of time he was on. I mean, can you blame him? He's got nothing to lose. He's like, no sweat. Go ahead. What does Moses say?
Okay, verse 29. And Moses said, Thou hast spoken well. I will see thy face again.
And I hate how white people have softened all of this, man. Because this is not no cordial conversation. These are threats.
Right.
He's like, if I see you again, I'm gonna kill you. And then Moses is like, bet. You said something, you finally said something that makes sense. You ain't gonna see me no more. You know what I mean? Like this is hostile negotiations going on here. I've been trying to go and you haven't held your end of the bargain, so now I got to take everything from you by the hand of the Lord. When are we going to take on that mentality like Moses, where they're not letting our people go of their spiritual captivity? We have no choice but to use the power of the Most High to take that back and destroy them in the process, because that's what they damn deserve, man. Go ahead. Oh, that's the end of the chapter. Let's get chapter 11. It's only 10 verses. Go ahead and read chapter 11.
Okay. This book of Exodus, chapter 11, verse 1. Wayamar, Yahweh, Al, Masha, Iwa, Nagaaya, Hakyat, Abaya, Allah, Paraya, Wa Ila, Matazram, Hakya, Raya, Khan, Yasha, Yushalat, Atakam, Mazaka, Kasha, La Hakyawan, Ka La Ka, Garsha, Garash, I Garash, Atakam, Mazha. Verse 2. The bar, now, Bazana, Bazanya, Hayim, no, Haim, Wayasha, Lawan, Wayasalawan, Aisha, Mata, Ray, I, Khwan, Wa, Shakha, Mata, Ra, I, Wa, Taka, Ka, Kala, Kalaya, Kasa, Waka, Wakalaya, Wakalaya, Sahab. Verse 3. Wayatam, Yakawa, Ata, Kyawan, Kwan, Khayam, Ba'ai, Ya, Naya, Matazrayim, Gam, Hayasha, Masha, Masha,
Got a wall.
Garawal, Mada, Haratza, Ba, Artza, Matazrayim, Ba, Ayan, Naya, Ab, Ba, Daya, Paraya, Waba, I, Ya, Naya, Khayam. What was that?
What's wrong?
This one.
That's not anything.
All right.
But it is Sa.
Za. Verse 4. Wayamar, Masha, Ka, Mar, Yakawa, Akyat Zat, Khalaya, Lakhan, Alaya, Yawatza, Bathwak, Matazaram. Verse 5. Wama, Ka, Kawara, Baratuza, Matazram, Bama ba ma ba Parawak Paraya Kaisa Allah Swan Ida Kawaram Hasha Pakyaha Ashar Akyar Harakiyam Harakiyam Maka Makwaram Mak sorry, Ba Kawa Ba Kamaka. Verse 6. Waka ya taka tazai waka ga gala baka aratza matazram asar mahwan la'am nakha ya ta wa kama one la'am wasa. Verse 7. Walaka banya yasha'ala la'a hakya ratza kala lasha nawan lama yasha wa ay bakhama lama ayum the I one asha wa kala Yahweh banya bawan so like bawan mutazarayim wabayan yasha'ala. Verse 8. Waya the run call I badayak Allah alaya waka sha takya one laya lamar taza atha waka Kha'am Asha Baraga Layak Waka Haraya Khan Azza Wayatza Ma'ayim Paraya Hakyaraya Apa Apa Sa verse 9 verse 9 Wayamar Yahweh Al Mashakha La'al Yeshmaya Allah Yakum Parayam Lamawan Ra Bawat Ma Wapa Daya Barataza Matazraim. Verse 10. Ma Wa Masha Wa Haran H1 Ata Ka Ha Ma Pa Tayyum, Khala, Lapania, Paraya, Wakia, Zak, Yahawa, At, Laba, Pariah, Wala, Shalak, Ata, Bania, Yasha'ala, Ma'arat is the one. Pa, verse. What you say, stop?
At the end of the chapter.
That was it.
All right, let's go ahead and get that in English. Exodus chapter 11.
Mhm.
This is the final plague. It's got its own chapter. Go ahead.
Okay. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 11, verse 1. And the Lord said unto Moses, Yet will I bring one plague more upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. Afterwards, he will let you go hence. When he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether. Verse 2. Speak now in the ears of the people, and let every man borrow of his neighbor, and every woman of her neighbors, jewels or silver and jewels of gold. Verse 3. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. Moreover, the man Moses was very great in the land of Egypt, in the sight of Pharaoh's servant, and in the sight of the people.
So Moses was technically, they didn't hate him, though they knew that the what he was doing was punishing the Pharaoh. That actually earned respect, because if there's one thing that earns respect, power and fear. And Moses held both of those virtues over the Egyptians and even over their king, the Pharaoh. He had power over Pharaoh through the Most High. He had fear that was placed when they thought of his name, because they knew that the God that he served was a God that could destroy their whole society. So they revered him because of that. That's a basic part of psychology. That's a reason why people get so attracted to leaders, because there is a power about themselves that they carry about themselves. And there is a fear that comes with somebody that's so confident in what they do for the Lord, and that they understand that the Lord is truly with them. And that puts a fear on our enemies. That makes them, that forces them to respect what it is that we do. They respected Moses because of those circumstances. Keep going.
Okay. Verse 4. And Moses said, Thus said the Lord, about midnight will I go out into the midst of Egypt.
Here's the one. This is the plague right here. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of the Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the mill, and all the firstborns of the beast. Verse 6. And there shall be a great cry throughout the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like anymore.
Now, one thing I know for especially people in the world and other nations is that they create their purpose in life to revolve around raising their children, if they have any, especially a son for a pharaoh, but not just the pharaoh's son passing, but all of the sons and firstborns of all of the servants of the pharaoh, all of the maid servants, all of the cattle that are left, right? Already there's nothing. They've already dealt with so much famine and destruction. Now you're going to demoralize them by taking the one thing that gives their life purpose. That's the ultimate destruction for the enemy, is that they don't realize that the Most High will take and destroy the thing that means the absolute most to them. It's one thing to lose money. You make more money, right? You can make more. But when it comes to a child, that's something that, though technically you can make more of, it's because it takes so much investment and time and things like that. People that have invested so much time into helping something grow, they have that much more fear of losing them. And when they lose them, then it destroys their mental, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Okay. Verse 7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that they may know that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
Now, we use the scripture at camp. It's actually on one of our signs that recognizes the difference between Hamites and Shemites. And those that become the Israelites, those become Africans and Egyptians, that there is a major difference between the two. But the Most High is doing this as and something that echoes all throughout time. He's making this event happen so that it's always known that there is a difference between us and them, that we're a people of the Lord and that they are not. You understand? That's how you know the Most High prefers a certain race. You understand? It's in the scriptures. That's why he says there's a huge difference between the Egyptians and the Israelites. And this plague is the final solution to getting them to finally budge, to finally break. Read on.
Okay. Verse 8. And all these thy servants shall come down unto me, and bow down themselves unto me, saying, Get thee out, and all the people that follow thee. And after that I will go out. And he went out from the Pharaoh in a great anger.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 9. And the Lord said unto Moses, Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Egypt. Verse 10. And Moses and Aaron did all these wonders before Pharaoh, and the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he would not let the children of Israel go out of his land.
Now just read the next 5 verses of the next chapter, and that'll be our section for today.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 1. Wa Yamar, Yahweh, Al, Mashah, Wallah, Arwan, Ba'aratazah, Mahatazariah, Lamar. Verse 2. Hakia, the Shah, Chazacha, Lakam, Rasha, Hadashim, Rasha, 1, Ha, Wa, Lakam, Hakia, Dashaya, Hasha, Sakha. Verse 3. The Barwan, Allah, Al, Ka, Ada, the Sha'ala, Lamar, Ba'ashar, the Kia, the Shah, Khazaha, Wa I, K1, Lakam, Laham, Shah, Shah, La, Bayata, Abta, Shah, La, Yat. Verse 4. 1. Yamata, Yamat, Bayat, Makat, Yata, Nashakha,
Alakwach,
Alakwak, Hawa, Washa, Ka, Nawan, Hakwa, Rab, A, Baya, 1,
Kasath,
Bamaksat, Naposhata,
Napashath,
Napashad, Aisha, Lapaya, Kalawan,
Akalawa,
Akalawan, the Ka, Swan, Allah, Al, Khashakha. Verse 5. Shakha, the Mayam, Zakah. For 1. Shanha, Yakha, Lakam, One, Ka, Ba, Shayum, One, Waman, no,
Ha'izayam.
Isaiah,
Ha'izayam.
Isaiah,
The Kwahwa.
the Kathwa.
All right, let's get that in English now. Again, the Lord's about to plague plague Egypt with one more plague of the angel of death going and taking the firstborn of everything. And of course, there's a requirement on Israel's end to find protection from this plague that is going to destroy the Pharaoh. Now go ahead and read that verse 1 there.
Okay. This book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, verse 2, this month shall be unto you beginning of months.
Yeah, it's almost like the Most High had this whole story take place to rein in new year for us at the perfect timing. I'm talking about down to the day, down to the second, because the way this thing lines up is lining up with how it lines up every year. And what he's getting ready to tell Moses is what we still practice to this very day as a requirement to hold up our end of the bargain to be protected from the plagues. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead.
It shall be the first month of the year to you.
Yeah, because the new year does not begin in January. The new year begins technically the first new moon after the winter solstice, which is where there's only 2 days in the whole entire year where evening or the day and nighttime are the exact same amount of time, because it's a little wobbly every other day. And so there's only 2 times a year where it's actually completely lined up, and they call that the solstice, winter and then summer. I think it's the summer, yeah, something like that. And so the new moon is telling you it's the beginning of months after this point in time in the year. And that's why the Passover may fluctuate on what day it is. But what we typically do with our school, we understand the exact days that it is. But because we're in a captivity that holds us to our jobs and has their foot on our necks, just like how it was back then in the times of Egypt, we try to align it so that it takes up a weekend in particular where we can all come together so that we can all be together as whole together, as much as us as we can. That we come together and gather together as that nation that this place does not want for us to succeed. You understand? So this is the beginning of the year. This is when it actually begins. It's coming up in our time right now, within the next few weeks or next month or so. We're going to be having our Passover April 12th. And it's not the same as last year. It's off by a couple days. Sometimes it's earlier, sometimes it's later. That's how you know we're going by the Bible. We're not going by man-made religions. You understand? This is from the scriptures. Go ahead.
Okay, verse 3. And speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 4. And if the households be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbors next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls.
Right. It's like a provision of lamb is good enough for, a lot of mouths to feed. So for a larger household, use 1 lamb. Because a whole lamb is a lot of food. You know what I'm saying? It's not a little amount. It could hold down a lot of people. Hell, when we have the lamb slaughter, I don't know how many we kill for the Passover, but when you consider that there's thousands that show up to the Passover, and we probably have like 10 lambs, I don't know, something like that. I don't know the amount, Maybe you do, because maybe you were more
was
involved
there.
in the kitchen, right? I don't know how many lambs it was, but just consider the fact that thousands of people ate off of this small number of lambs. So just keep in mind of what he's saying. He's saying if it's a small amount between a few households, y'all could share a lamb. You know what I'm saying? Don't be wasteful. We could use what we got to through brotherhood, make sure everybody gets what they need.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay. Every man according to his eatings shall make your count for the lamb.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 5, your lamb shall be without blemish. A male of the first year, you shall take it out from the sheep and from the goats.
Verse 5.
That was the end.
So he's setting up the prerequisite. We're going to read more about that when we finish up the final plague of Egypt and Israel's exodus from the land of Egypt in the next Sabbath service. All right. But remember what I'm saying in the sense that we have our end of the bargain to hold up. And we have to hold this end of the bargain every single year. That's why we have the Passover every single year. And that's why it is considered to be our highest holy day. It is our original highest holy day. And Hanukkah is a part of that too. But Hanukkah was something that was generated amongst the Israelites after the split occurred. And so not all the tribes knew about Hanukkah because some of us had already been on this side of the globe by the time the Maccabees revolted against I believe it was the Grecians to uphold this menorah here. And so we have Hanukkah, but Passover, well, we know Christ celebrated Hanukkah and Passover because Christ was a Judite whose family comes from the land where the Maccabees, did their thing and created the Hanukkah as one of our traditions. But Passover was all of Israel's tradition. Now, of course, we in the northern tribes, we celebrate Hanukkah now because we know what it is. We then have our history. We have our reunification with our brothers to then implement all of our customs, our ceremonies and things like that. So Passover is our OG main high holy day. You understand what I'm saying? But we have to understand that this high holy day is about the destruction of our enemies. Just like how the Hanukkah is about the destruction of our enemies, so that we can uphold our culture. So it is our charge to uphold our end of the deal, to then serve the Lord and continue to push this truth so that as many people amongst our nation can come back to our true heritage, because we are all that's left. Everybody else is either suffering in their life or dying in their life. And we're supposed to be the example of life for them, while everybody else is dying by that angel of death that's about to plague Egypt. And just like all the plagues that have hit America, we can expect more chaos. We can expect all these things to happen because the Most High said they were going to happen. But one thing that should be consistent is us keeping the ceremonies that the Most High charged us to keep, because we are Israel. We have a job to do with holding up our end of the deal. That's something that separates us from all the other nations, because they don't hold their end of the bargain, but we will with the Lord. So with that, Amajim, which means to stand. Go ahead, take a copy of it. I got portal wine. Remind me to get more.
La Yashra.
La Yasharala.
Drink it all. Then we're gonna saw upon walk with them. I'll say, upon walk with them, which means to turn and face east. We're going to read the Lord's Prayer and the last one with us. Abanao.
Abanao.
Shabbat Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom.
Kodash.
Kodash.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Shemka.
Shemka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Malakaka.
Lakaka.
Tabaha.
Tabaha.
Wadazaka.
Wadazaka.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Barataza.
Barataza.
Kawa.
Kawa.
Aisha.
Aisha.
You thought you had it memorized,
I haven't done it in a minute.
Started Baratazar.
Aya Kawa.
Kawa.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Bashaman.
Bashaman.
Batalana.
Batalana.
Hakam.
Hakam.
Ka.
Ka.
Yawam.
Yawam.
Wasalakna.
Wasalakna.
Kawatna.
Kabawakina.
Wasalakna.
Wasalakna.
Kawatina.
Kabawathina.
Walala.
Wala.
Tabi'ayna.
Tabi'ayna.
Masawan.
Masawan.
Abal.
Abal.
Aishayna.
Hawashayna.
Mayan.
Mayan.
Ra.
Ra.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Laka.
Laka.
Malakwa.
Hamalakwa.
Wahala.
Wahala.
Wata Para.
Wata Para.
Lalamium.
Lalamium. The Lord's Prayer in English. Our Father,
Our Father.
which art in heaven,
Which art in heaven.
hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Yahweh,
Yahweh.
thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done
Thy will be done.
in earth
In earth.
as it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day
Give us this day
our daily
our
bread.
daily bread.
Forgive us our debts
Forgive us our debts.
as we forgive our
As
debtors.
we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not
And lead us not
into temptation,
into temptation,
but deliver
but
us
deliver us
from evil.
from evil.
For thine is the kingdom
Thine is the kingdom
and the
and
power
the power
and the glory
and the glory
forever.
forever.
So be it.
So be it.
All right, now at this time, we're going to salute the scroll. Turn face towards me. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Brak Yah.
Ya Bashim Ya Shabrak Ya.
Ya Basim Ya Shabrak Ya.
All right, go ahead and sit down. Blow the horn one more time. All right, so this is going to conclude the Isupk San Antonio Sabbath service. Sisters may have a seat. And at this time, we're going to give the brothers one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, Amadim Shabbat, Amadim, Barak, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Brakatham, Yadim Atap, Sar, turn and face the sisters for one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, Amadim Shabbat, Amadim, Barak, Yahweh Shemar Latam Bashem Yahushua, Yadim Atap, dismiss.